Hello, I'm Hilton Samuel from GodWantsYouMarried.com, and we are going to be continuing our series 12 Christian Dating Myths That May Be Keeping You Single. We are now on myth number 8 we are going forward with myth number 8. If you have missed the past 7 broadcasts on the other myths, we ask you to go back and have a look at them. If you want all 12 myths, we invite you to head on over to GodWantsYouMarried.com, click on the 12 dating myths button, and simply enter your email and name, and we'll be happy to pop them into your email account. Just to remind you also, this is part of the Christian Dating series, and we have a course running. The course that is called How to Be Found by the Spouse God Wants for You. How to be found by the spouse that God wants for you. Won't it be delightful just to be able to find the person that God has in mind for you, or be found by that person that God has in mind for you? So head on over to GodWantsYouMarried.com, and there is a link to that course, and be sure to sign up to it. Now today we are going to be looking at a myth. It's not a conscious one that many people have. In fact, it is quite unconscious, and it can be very deadly because you're not aware. It's almost as if you're eating food that is poison. You can't taste the poison, but it is right there. The fact that many people just simply because we are in a Christian community, because we are part of the Christian tribe, for want of a better term, we assume that each or anyone who call themselves Christian, who go about and toot that they are Christian, that these people are safe. Unfortunately, there are people who hide under the auspices. They are like sheep. No, in fact, the other way around. They're like wolves in sheep clothing that Christ speak about. And Paul, I think in 2 Timothy, speaks about men who go from house to house, leading away silly women who are led away by their own lusts. You have to be very careful that simply because a person is a Christian, you don't accept. You need to test the spirit. You need to be aware that, you still have to do your due diligence. There are horror stories I've heard of people who have, just accepted the fact that someone is a Christian, and they are so happy to have someone show interest in them who is a Christian, because normally a lot of single Christian professional mature ladies tell me that the only people who show interest in them are people from their work, people who are secular, who are not Christians. So when a Christian man shows up and has all the right words to say, they tick all the correct boxes, then it's easy for us to let our guard down. However, like I indicated before, you still must do your due diligence. Even married men in the church can be a threat, so you have to be careful as to who you allow to access you, who you allow to access your apartment, who you allow to come into your house, who you allow to speak to you a certain way. Some women tell me that they feel that because they are single, that they are targets. They feel vulnerable by men in the church. Even the preachers, or pastors, or priests, ministers, they too can be vulnerable. So you have to be on your guard. You must be on your guard. Let me speak a little bit more about this. I'll give you an example of one such incident that has actually come across my desk. There was this wonderful, dedicated Christian young lady. She was a virgin. She was in her mid 30s, and she had stayed pure for the gospel's sake. She had, she stuck to her guns, and she didn't want to get in any way contaminated until she gets a family. Anyway, this young man, wonderful, or seemingly wonderful young man, showed up in church, and he became a part of the congregation. He was a highly desired person, professional. He looked the part, he acted the part, he spoke the right words. But remember that even if you speak to high heavens, and Paul says in 1 Corinthians 13, even if you do all these things and have not love, have not charity, it counts for nothing. At any rate, he began to quote her, or canvass her for her heart. And she thought, Lord, this must be the answer. I've been holding out for so long. I've been waiting for such a long period of time that I know that you have sent the right person. And she accepted. They started to court. Unfortunately, he led her down the wrong path. Things happened. She became involved with him sexually. Initially, she resisted at first, but people are human. She was in a relationship. She thought she was in a secure relationship, and as things, things happen. I am not excusing it. However, it's really, really difficult. And by the way, I do have a series of broadcasts that I'm going to be broadcasting very soon. If you need to have access to that, it's called and it's actually part of the course. It's called Holy but Horny. I can't. It's called Honey. Let me just state that again. It's called Holy but Horny. What to do with your sexual urges as a single Christian. And getting back to our stories. To get back to our story, when that happened, or after that happened, obviously she felt guilty, she felt ashamed, and the worst part of it, he dumped her. So even though a person is tooting that he is or she is the greatest Christian, because some women in the church are also predators. They're predators. So we have to be careful both with the female and the male. Even though a person is a Christian, you still need to do your due diligence and ascertain that they walk the talk and not only speaking great, wonderful words. So that's it for this. Just to be aware, some people are burnt or have been burnt badly, and they have decided to wash their hands of any man in the church or any woman in the church. But that is not necessarily, that should not necessarily be the case. So be careful, be aware. See you next time when we talk about the 9th dating myth that may be keeping you single. So stay strong, stay blessed, and remember to subscribe to the channel so that you could get more Christian dating tips.